Next up, we have Matt Still, Solutions Engineer from Esri, and also Richard Twinstra. He's the GIS Manager for the City of Fayetteville, and they're going to be talking about open data and building a public safety using open data. So, floor is theirs.
I guess Richard's just going to stay sitting over there until I'm done. I'm going first. Yeah. No pressure. Yeah, it's like hopefully I don't butcher whatever it is he was going to talk about. Let's go ahead and get started. So about a year-ish ago, eventually this will show up, and about a year-ish ago, I went down to the city of Fayetteville to talk about the police data initiative that they were doing. The police chief at the time was very interested in liberating some data, and so I went in just to kind of take a look at some of their data sets and see what we could do. And as many of you probably know, Esri provides an open data site that's a part of your ArcGIS Online, so that you can actually take your data that you have, whether it's GIS data or non-spatial data, really any data that you have, and make it available to the public to put it out there. And so my portion of this, eventually Richard will come up here and talk about the stuff that you probably really care about, but my portion of this is to talk about what is open data and where does Esri fit into this picture. So as the slide says here, open data is data that is freely accessible. It's available to everyone. They can download it, they can work with it, they can manipulate it, they can share it with whomever they please. Really, it means it's open. It's yours to work with, whether you're a business, a citizen, a developer, whatever you happen to be. And I don't know what's going on with the slide. Let's see. Display settings. I do know what's going on with the slide.
It's too wide.
It is too wide. View. And where do they hide it? Slideshow. Goodness. 16 by 9. Anybody see 16 by 9? Right? Like, it's just never easy. I mean, that's why you do a PowerPoint, right? So that it's just not. All right. Well, you know what? Here we go. Ta-da. Okay. Well, we'll just. Nope. Now it's not even on there. Come on. All right, I don't even know what I did here.
Let's go back. It was up there just a second ago. Let's go back to
I can kind of see it.
PowerPoint.
Man, all right, well.
You just kind of.
All right, well, you know what? We're just going to pretend here. And, all right, whoa, stop, right there. How about that? Can you see this okay? All right. Well, you'll just have to deal with it because that's all I got. All right.
Glad I could help.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. All right. So now, since I can't see that, all right. So what is open data? Why is it important? Why do people want it? What does it mean? Well, open data means that it is open by default. It means you don't have to go and ask for it, because that's kind of one of the big points of open data is that if you're a GIS manager or you're a finance officer or a public information officer or whoever it is that has this data that should be open, you don't want citizens calling you and saying, hey, can I download this? Or having somebody come in where you have to burn it to a CD or do something like that. The whole point is that it's open by default and someone can just go and grab it without needing to go and bug you to get it. It also means that it's machine readable. And what I mean by that is think of the difference between a CSV file, like a comma delimited file, or a PDF file. If you get a CSV file, you can download it, you can do calculations on the data, you can extract things. If I give you a PDF, it's a static picture of that. And while, yes, it may have some values and figures and things in there that are useful to you, it's a lot more difficult for you to be able to manipulate that and to actually glean useful information out of it. So we want it to be machine readable. It's not subject to privacy, security, privileges, or things like that. So that kind of goes along with the whole idea of open data, right? It's open. You don't need to be within a particular security group or have some special access in order to get it. It's just available that way. Primary data, meaning that it's the original source. You're not getting it secondhand by going and, purchasing this data from someone else or collecting it from someone else and then manipulating it and then handing out that secondhand data. It's primarily sourced from the actual authoritative source. And then timely. Meaning, best case scenario, it's real time. You're actually reading in the Firehouse data, or you're reading in the RMS data, or the 311 calls, or whatever that data source happens to be. The best case scenario is that we can see it as soon as it's put out there. Now, obviously, in some cases, data has to be scrubbed for privacy concerns, HIPAA laws, or things like that. But for the most part, we want that data to be as timely as possible. That one I was going to hide, so let's just go ahead. Who uses open data? So there's a lot of different uses for it. You can put it out there and make it available for just anybody to download it. Scott was kind enough to kind of intro the whole thing with how the hydrant data is now open there. But you can think of a business using some open data to help them locate the next franchise location or where they're going to open one up. A researcher at a university, for example, could use this as a part of their thesis to prove some type of hypothesis or something like that. Same thing with a student. Citizens could use this information to find out anything from housing values or land use requirements or restrictions or really anything. It's just the ability to go and take that data and use it for the purposes that the end user wants to use it for. So in the case of where does Esri fit into this picture, Esri has provided a platform, ArcGIS Online, for sharing all sorts of information. Typically maps, right? You think of maps and geoprocessing and that type of stuff. But it's also geo-enabling some of this information and making it available to the public via an open data source. And so our method of doing that is to give you a series of tools. Number one, so you can explore that data. Maybe you know exactly what it is that you're looking for. I want park data. So I'm going to go on this open data site and I'm going to type in parks and I'm going to download all of the information related to those parks. Maybe I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to go browse a particular category and I'm going to see what interests me and maybe that's something that would be useful for my particular project that I'm going to work with. But once you found the data source that you're interested in or that you want, then the ability to visualize that, see where it is, if it's a spatial data source, or to be able to filter or query on that information, even if it's tabular. Maybe it's salary data, for example, and you want to see what do these government employees make. Being able to analyze that and create charts based off of that type of data so we can compare those across a range or across a particular area. And then also to be able to share that. So, hey, I've gone and I've gleaned this information. I've made some charts on it. I've filtered it down to a particular area. And now share that information that I've done, the work that I've done on that with other people by embedding that into an existing web page that I have or putting it into a website. So Esri has an open data site that allows you to do that. And so what I'm kind of working my way towards is how Esri's open data site kind of paired with the police data initiative that Richard's going to talk about in a minute or so, to be able to take a platform that already existed. It's something that in this case the city of Fayetteville was already utilizing via ArcGIS Online, where you take groups and you take your data sources, whether those data sources are, again, GIS data sources, or maybe they are non-typical GIS sources or non-spatial data sources like RMS data from the records management system for the police, or maybe it was the use of force documents, which in some cases were just Excel spreadsheets that we wanted to make available so someone could query them, pull out particular types of information. And in order to do that, we actually took ArcGIS Server, we created services out of those and then put them in groups on ArcGIS Online, so that they were accessible in that way, but then used the open data platform as the front end for being able to grab that information and make it accessible to really anybody who wanted to be able to access that. What I wanted to show real quick before I hand it over to Richard is just some examples from a local government perspective before we dive into the public safety realm, but from a local government perspective of how these open data sites have been used. So I picked three examples. One is Charlotte, because that's where I'm from. So the city of Charlotte has an open data site, and just a couple of the things I want to highlight. They created some of these categories that you see here. So 311 services, arts and education, community safety, things like that. So even if you didn't know exactly the data source that you're looking for, you could click on a category. Maybe you know a general area that you're interested in. You could click on that category and you could browse all of the data sets that have been made open and available for you to access. And then once you've located a particular data set that you're interested in this case, it's street closures. You can see all of the details on that table and everything that's there. Those can be filtered either spatially or via the attributes. But you can also see up in the top right corner, here, you can see the ability to download those data sets. And so that data can be downloaded directly to a file on your machine. So again, CSV or a KML or a shapefile, open formats, not just these static PDFs or things that are going to lock you into the data, but things that can be manipulated once you download them. Or you can access the data directly via a GeoJSON service or a Geo service, so that maybe you have an application that you're building, something you're interested in seeing where these street closures are, and you want to be able to alert someone as to, hey, I've got my daily commute and I'm going to be going from my house to work and back, and I want to know where these street closures are. If the city is providing these in a timely manner, in a real-time situation, my application can let me know immediately that, hey, there is a road closure here because of a water main break, or the hydrant didn't work and it flooded, or whatever it happens to be. So those are different ways of accessing that data. Wake County, so we're here at the county, and they've got another great open data site that they push out here. And just a couple of screenshots of it. They've also done the category approach so that you can more easily access or find the data that you're looking for. But they've also linked specific applications that they've built that's based off of that open data. So these are ones that the county's provided that could be pointers to the data that other people could begin doing. And then the city of Raleigh, since, hey, we're here in Raleigh. Same thing, categories that they've defined their data in here, applications that they've built based off of those open data and the things that they've put out there. And then the last little piece, and then I'll hand it over to Richard, is consumer app integration. So these are ways that this open data has been used outside of what that local government is providing. So if you see something like Yelp, if you've ever used an application like Yelp on your phone, it's restaurant reviews and things like that, that is partnering with Yelp to, if you see right down here at the bottom, health inspection scores. So it's actually standardizing health inspection scores. So if you see a 97 out of 100 in the county, it is the same score as a 97 out of 100 in the city or wherever else, so that they don't have different standards of health codes. So it's actually integrating that open data that has been standardized across the city and the county into a consumer application. Waze is very similar, using road closure information and things like that are being provided by the city and or county, but pushing it out to a consumer app that can actually provide real-time routing and information straight over to anybody who's using the Waze app for routing and navigation. So those are just a couple ways of using open data within, your city or your county or your local government, but also through consumer-based applications. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Richard, and he can actually walk you through the fun stuff.
Thank you, Matt. Let's see.
Oh, and yeah, good luck.
Yeah, no, not really.
No pressure.
All right, this is going. I don't even see. Where am I?
Yours will work better than mine. Let's see. Where's the mouse?
There he is.
There's the mouse.
He was hiding from me.
That's you. And let's see if yours will project properly.
Yes.
No.
Oh, almost.
What is going on?
Well, this is readable, right? We can. This will work for us, right? Okay. Well, thanks again, Matt. Word of warning, 2 words of warning. At some point during this presentation, I'm going to say how easy it was to build this open data portal. It was true, but we did get a lot of help from Matt with that. So that's one word of warning. The second word of warning is, although I've been in North Carolina for 15 years now, I still have an accent and I have the tendency to talk fast. So if I go too quick and you can't understand the darn thing I'm saying, just raise your hand and I will try and slow down a little bit. But my name is Richard Tuinstra. I'm the GIS manager for the city of Fayetteville, who has problems using technology, apparently. There you go. It will work. From now on, I think I can get this to work. A little bit of context for this open data portal. Fayetteville. Who of you has ever been to Fayetteville? Who is familiar with Fayetteville? That's quite a lot. I'm impressed. So that's actually the 6th largest city in North Carolina, which is not something I expected. 200,000 people. But that's mostly because we have the Fort Bragg located next to us, the largest U.S. Army base by population, and it really has a large influence on the city itself. IT, GIS department. When I started 8.5 years ago, there was only one position. It was a GIS technician. That was GIS in the city. We have been slowly expanding now. We have now a team of 3 people. And we started a couple of years ago an enterprise GIS program, mostly influenced by the decision of the city to move towards CityWorks, the work order management system. And we didn't have an enterprise GIS in place at that time, so it was kind of the force or the push for us to moving in that direction. Started slowly with ArcGIS Server a couple of years ago, started moving into the ArcSDE environment in 2014, and 2015 was a big year for us. We got an Esri ELA, which made our life much easier in terms of software licensing and everything. We did in partnership with our Public Works organization, which is a kind of separate organization, but we managed to combine those two in one ELA. And we created our first strategic plan roadmap that we've been using since then to develop GIS further. Okay, so public safety. Well, Fayetteville is known, and not always in a good way, but we have a very good and active police department. We have 427 officers with body cams, and every police car has a dash cam, and that's the only city in North Carolina that has that combination. So our previous chief of police was very much into transparency in body cameras and everything, and he was the only chief, I think, in North Carolina that really wanted to have all the videos available from all body cameras and dash cams whenever it was necessary. He didn't want any restrictions on that. We have, of course, AVL in the car. We have MCTs, traffic cameras everywhere. But this is what Fayetteville is known for, our crime situation. This is from 2 years ago. We were number 5 in the United States for property crimes. Yay us. Burglary 6. 8th place in larceny, and we constantly rank very high in violent crime. So that's not something to be proud of course, but the city is working very hard in improving these numbers, and it's working a little bit. We can see the crime numbers going down a little bit, but it's still not there where it needs to be. But the police department is really trying to address these issues, and partly is they want to use technology more technology-based crime prevention. So we have a big crime. We call it the Crime Information Center. When I started, there was 1 crime analyst in the city of Fayetteville, and now there are 6. So that has really changed things. We use a lot of third-party solutions. We have a crime analysis tools, which was built by our good friends at Bradshaw. They actually have a booth, so I'll show you some more of the work they've been doing. But they've been awesome to work with. Great group of people. The crime, public face crime reporting, we have a website, and we had that for like 5-6 years, where it has almost live, real-time crime information available in the form of a map. It's not really open data, but it was a good start with that. And we have a dashboard system, which is really cool. Was also built by Bradshaw. And then the last point, we started building the open data portal last year. Boom. This is the crime mapping website. I'm a little bit afraid if I click on the picture, it will go to the website itself. I'm not going to do that. I think I have a bad feeling about this, and that's going to go back, so I'm not going to do that. But it's a really cool website. It's available to the police website. There's the URL, so if you want to try it yourself, risk-free, you can do it over there. But it really, you can see here, like you see the little clock here, you can say, I want to see the data, the crime data for the last 7 days, 30 days, and filter everything out. It's really cool. We've had it for a couple of years. It's not being utilized as much as I was hoping it would be. It's kind of hidden on the website, so you have to know where to look for it, but it's actually really interesting. And it uses the automated data. And this is one of the dashboards that the city police department is using now that was built for us by Bradshaw. It's all Esri-based, and they use it in the MCTs, in the cars, and they pull it up anywhere they want to in the field. It's mobile, it's on the desktop, and it really is an interesting way of displaying the tons of data that the police department collects every day. So it's actually really cool. And the next phase in this project is going into that field of the minority report, where's crime going to take place, the predictive policing. And they've really made good headway with that. We had so much historical data, not hysterical, but historical data. So, and they use that data with active crime situation to predict where things are going to happen. Matt already mentioned it. This was really the big push under the previous president, the 21st Task Force for Century Policing. Really a lot of emphasis on open data, on transparency, on community policing, and that kind of filtered down through all the police departments in the nation. And this is what really spurred the development of our open data portal. Just a shout out to our police department, talking about transparency and community engagement. These guys do an awesome job every day. And they also do make a lot of effort going into the community, talk to people. I think this is some pictures from the Coffee with a Cop program that they have, where every week they go to some restaurant and just meet with everybody, and it's really awesome to see. They really do a really good job. Anyway, 21st century policing, one of the things was really that open data initiative was an important part of it. At a certain point, the city had been talking about an open data portal for a long time. It was just talk. You know how that works. And then suddenly it was like, okay, we need to have this done within a month. Like, what are we going to do? That's kind of a... And there were another couple of things that were necessary for it. It had to be automated because we didn't want to have any human interaction. Because when people get involved, things happen. The data is not as good as me. Police department might want to hide things. So we had to filter some important information out of it, like, name of victims and stuff like that. Logical stuff, but we wanted no human intervention. The third part, it needs to be visual attractive. People need to look at that site and it makes actually look good. See how I'm at with time now, because I think it's, don't use the buzzer. Don't. All right. But also an important thing is that it needs to have more than public safety in it. It's supposed to be an open data portal for the city, for all the different departments, but that's in theory. In practice, the open data portal that the city has is 99% is public safety data. So we got it up and running in 3 weeks. Thanks, Matt. Without Matt, we couldn't have done it. I'm going to buy him a beer tonight, maybe two even, because that was awesome. We have OSI CAD RMS as our system, and I guess a lot of police departments use that or something similar like that. And all we did, we run a script overnight, pull the data into SDE, create a feature service through ArcGIS server, and load it into the open data portal. Really fairly simple once you have it up and running. And then we use people to make it look good, the little icons and everything. Necessary ingredients to build all this, to build this soup. Executive buy-in, you need to have a chief of police that is really into this open data stuff. It's really important to have that. And a city manager who's really wanting to make all the public data, all the data that the government has about its own performance available to the public, where the taxpayers' dollars going. And then you need, of course, departmental support, and you need something simple to use as ArcGIS Online, because ArcGIS Online is really simple to use. You have to admit it. It's an easy tool. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, really anybody can do it. I'm not going to go into the whole back end, but it's basically what Matt already explained. You set up an you enable the ArcGIS Online. You see that little thing that says disable open data. When you haven't done it yet, it's green. You click on it, and you have an open data site. Then you create an open data group in ArcGIS Online, have a couple of users give access to the group, and everything they publish into the group will automatically be in the open data portal. It's that simple. And this is how it looks like. Again, I could click, and it would open up. I'm not going to do it, but you see we have the same system as Wake and all the other ones have. These little icons. And this is right there, open data portal for the police. And it looks like this then. So this is the larceny data for the past 60 days. So we actually have metadata in there. Very important to have it. And then you can display the data in a map, but also in a table, or in bar charts and pie charts and everything like that. And Matt already explained you can download it as a spreadsheet KML, and there's APIs there as well, so people can play with the data. This is why it had to take 3 weeks. Our chief of police wanted to go to the White House, and the only way he could go to the White House to have an open data portal. So that was really the reason behind that, to do it in 1 month. And he's sitting right there, being all those bug about it. But then we got some more publicity out of it. It was an article in Arc News, which was really good for us, because you can use it inside the organization, outside the organization. Oh, we're so bright and smart. Open data policing, it goes beyond that. This is actually a quote from our previous chief of police, the importance of transparency. Fayetteville has a big problem with traffic stops. It's all racial and it's all complicated. So all the data about traffic stops is online now as well. And there's a lot more of these organizations have it available. I'm almost done. But it's evolving. So this is something we have, the city of Fayetteville has right now. It's called TrackStat. It's transparent reporting and analytics for citizens. It's a really cool product. And it basically, the city shows how far they're progressing. Every city had these targets for actions and stuff like that. So how are we doing with that? And this is actually a really cool site. Also has our police data in there so we can see how far we're progressing, if we're reaching our goals. And then challenges. Well, the situation changes. You know, one of the things with an open data portal, you have to maintain it and make sure that it keeps on being fed with data, and the city has to really be behind it. And when we built this, everybody was excited. Chief of police was excited, but then he decides to retire. Our city manager really liked GIS, was a big proponent of it. He gets fired. And then the White House had a big open data portal. Last week I read they just closed the thing down. So the situation in which you operate, things outside your realm will change, and it goes for an open data portal as for GIS. You know, you have to constantly adapt to a changing situation. And that's all I had to say.
I was at a meeting yesterday with the city and county of Durham's emergency management group. And they're interested in showing multiple agency AVL data. And I'm wondering whether you were able to serve your AVL data using this portal, and whether you tried to do more than one to serve that up.
We actually have been fiddling around with that. We can display AVL data, even in ArcGIS Online. The problem is going to be the data set is going to be quick, large, because it's so many points through AVL, so it's going to be a huge data set quickly. But it's possible. We actually showed it last week to somebody because they wanted to see if the city of the police is covering all these areas, if they really go into the community. So we just pulled up the data from AVL and actually showed in ArcGIS Online. You could see where the police cars were that night before. So it's possible, yes. But it's slow because those data sets are huge.
And then across multiple agencies,
right.
Yeah. So if Richard's got a group, it's an open data group, so it's open. It's
right.
available to everyone. And I've got a group, and mine's open.
No.
When I go to create an open data site, I just point at both groups, and now I see data coming from both different streams or multiple streams. It gives them an easy one.
Have you ever experienced an effort to show crowdsourced open data, things like down fire lines or down trees or the ice or snow event or something like this? They're really interested in seeing where roads are closed or where, and it's not things that are planned to be closed, but because of the tree down and so forth, or you could keep up with it being removed.
Right. We do. The city of Fayetteville, Hurricane Matthew hit Fayetteville pretty bad, and after that, and we're still showing like all the road. There's still a couple of roads that are being closed, and some dams that have been broken. So we do display that data through ArcGIS Online on the website for everybody to see and download. Also, not just seeing the location, but also photos, and then showing that it's like the repair is going to take so much time. Where are we with the repairs, and how much money is going to cost? So we try to publish all that data on the website. Yeah.
We have a call center. Do you see a workflow where it could work, where they could say, if they get a call, there's a tree that took out a fire line, or the road is blocked, and then the workers go out there with maybe a collector tool or something like that to say,
yep.
taking care of this, the problem is
Yep.
going there.
So the great thing about the open data site is that it's just reading data streams. So
right.
it could be a map service. I mean, that's all it has to be. So if your crowdsourced data is feeding into a feature service from a user application, a survey 123, from collector, from wherever that information happens to be coming, it's stored as a record in the database, which can be pushed out as a service, which can be shared via open data. Mm-hmm. So certainly that's a possibility, and that's something that would be a great use for it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.